Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Suzanne and Sarah YouTube channel. I'm Suzanne.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we are going to talk to you about what you should know about selling your home during a divorce. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Suzanne and Sarah YouTube channel. I'm Suzanne Moore.
And I'm Sarah Willis. We are Central Oregon's investment and real estate experts.
So as I said, I'm Suzanne Moore. I'm a realtor here in beautiful sunny Bend, Oregon with Realty One Group Discovery. And I'm the founder of the Central Oregon Investor Network, which brings together investors not only from just Central Oregon, but from all over the country to share resources, talk about investing topics, and create more freedom in our lives through passive income from real estate investments.
And I'm Sarah Willis. Suzanne Moore and I are a team at Realty One Group here in beautiful Central Oregon. We make these videos on a weekly basis on real estate and lifestyle topics. So today we'll be talking about one that's maybe a little bit heavier than usual, but also a fact of life. So something you're going to want to do is hold up your QR code. It's the best way to get our contact information, sign up for our weekly emails, and also stay in touch with these videos that we do every week and bringing them to you. Before this video is over, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and we can stay in touch that way. Something we need you to know before we get started is that we are not trained in law. We are not advised to give you any law information, any advice on what it's like to go through a divorce, or any of those details. However, we do know how to sell houses. And something you should know is during COVID, 33% of all couples broke up or got a divorce, okay? You are not alone. And whether you're still slogging through that or you find yourself in a more recent split, we just want you to know that you do not have to do it alone. And again, like I said, we're not attorneys and we're not trained in law, but we are your allies here who have experience with clients who have gone through divorces and how it impacts our clients. So we just want you to know, as realtors, we wear many hats. Everybody has different life situations, why they want to sell a home or why they have to sell a home. And it's our job in this situation to help guide and assist you as just a neutral third party, someone who's really good at communicating, who can communicate with your attorney when needed. And we're just professionals that are going to help you work towards the sale and disposal of one of your biggest assets as you're dividing things up with your partner that you've been living with for the past several years. So this is our job.
All right, so let's just clarify a few things before we get into the nitty-gritty of this topic. And the first is the difference between divorce and separation. And while they're technically two different things, lenders actually view them the same, and more often than not, mediators and the courts are involved in both processes. So technically, divorce is a lawsuit where one party is suing the other to get out of the marriage contract. So going through a divorce is really a period of negotiating how to get through it. And the goal is that each party agrees to a judgment of dissolution of the marriage. And if you can't agree, then you go to trial. That trial could take anywhere from 90 days to 5 years, let's hope not. But it can take a long time to complete if it is adversarial, if you can't agree on things. So the longer timeline is usually an issue of assets and how to split them up, and also perhaps a discrepancy in income. Maybe one person was the breadwinner and the other stayed home. Those are things that play into the timelines here. The average time for a divorce is 1 to 1.5 years. So once a suit has been filed, you cannot sell any assets without agreement from both parties. So now, legal separation is when spouses are still married, but the reality is not a significant difference from divorce. Assets are still divided. Sometimes people choose this route because it can be financially beneficial to still stay officially married, but not live together anymore. In order to transition to a divorce, a separate petition has to be filed. But from a lender's perspective, divorce is equal to legally separated. They see them as exactly the same.
The fact of the matter is 61% of divorcing couples end up selling their home, really, whether they want to or not. Whether it's because of a court order or simple logistics, most divorcing couples choose to include their home when liquidating their assets. And the realtor who guides you through this process should be empathetic, diplomatic, patient, unbiased, and willing to communicate equally and, when necessary, separately to both parties, especially if there's some contention there. So assembling your team, understanding your options, and deciding what to do with the house is part of this process. During divorce proceedings, the division of real estate is often the primary focus, again, because it's one of the biggest assets. If you have kids involved, we need to figure out where they're going to live. It can also hold sentimental value, and it stirs up just more tough emotions. Deciding to get to who gets to keep the home itself, or the divisions from the division of the proceeds from that asset can be complicated. So again, the key to a clean divorce and division of assets is absolute agreement from both parties. As soon as somebody doesn't agree, there's going to be issues. So communication is key throughout this process. This is where you want professionals who understand what you're going through, what your goals are as part of your team. You know, the lawyers are responsible for the mediation when there is a disagreement, and the court decides ultimately who gets what when you cannot agree. So what happens when this happens is the attorneys, they type up this big long divorce decree that spells out exactly what you have to do, exactly when you have to do it, and exactly who gets what. The judge approves it, and that is when you move forward.
So then if this is the case, then who gets the house in a divorce? The most common solution for the way real estate will be divided is one of the following three ways. The first way is that both spouses agree to sell and equity is divided among the divorcing parties. If there are kids involved, one spouse may get to stay in the home for a specific period of time, typically until the youngest child turns 18, and then the house may be sold. Or another option is that one of the spouses buys out the other party and gets to keep the home.
There are some more alternative solutions as well. Every situation is different. You may be able to work a more creative solution than the more conventional ways. Some of the alternative ideas on what to do with the house. If one party wants to stay in the house, one creative option is to have your clients refinance the house while they're still legally married. And what this can do is help you avoid issues with the financing terms down the line once incomes are split, and then just move forward with the divorce proceedings afterwards. This can just really help while there are still two incomes on the books and the lender is not privy to the fact that there are marital issues. This is just one way to think proactively if you know your marriage is going the wrong direction, and you guys want to be proactive about someone keeping the house with the best financing terms possible, still helping each other out in this way. The other sort of more outside the box option is to co-own the home with your ex-spouse. If one person can't afford to keep it on their own, or you are locked into one of those really great 2.5–3% interest rates that you just really don't want to let go of, there has to, of course, be some amicable, communication here. You just need to, in this scenario, agree on how the mortgage payments will be split, when they'll be paid each month, how to distribute the proceeds if a sale should happen down the line. These are all things that just need to be written down and agreed upon by everybody. This can just be a great option because kids can stay in the home and nobody has to worry about dipping into savings to buy out the other person. Just keep in mind, though, there are a couple downsides to this solution, however. Any late payments, they're still going to affect both people's credit scores. So if a fight happens down the line, and one person wants to hold it against the other person, just relationships can be weird. But both people are going to be affected if one person messes up down the line. So also, in the event of a sale further down the line, the homeowner that doesn't live in the house as their primary residence, they're going to have to absorb full capital gains taxes on any appreciation from the sale. The rule there is you have to have lived in the house for at least 2 out of the 5 past years in order to be able to claim that exception. So the person that moves out may be at a deficit there unless you're able to come to some kind of agreement there on paying out the other person on what they're going to have to pay for capital gains taxes. So these are some alternative ideas to consider when deciding what to do with your home in the event that you're going through a divorce or going to be going through a divorce.
And Sarah, just to clarify on the refinance piece, if someone were to do that, would they be putting the house in one spouse's name? Is that the goal there?
That's the goal. Yep, exactly.
Great. Thanks for clarifying. All right, so we've talked about some standard solutions, some creative solutions, and now we want to talk about some scenarios that you want to avoid if at all possible when you're going through this stressful time in your life and your relationship. So the first thing you want to avoid, let's talk about some stats. So according to Redfin's statistics, 65% of everyone who has bought a house since late 2021 is likely upside down in their mortgage for people with very little money down. So those are folks that use the 0%, 3%, low money down loan options. So what does that mean? If you're upside down on your mortgage, you have to sell the house. You have to sell it at a loss, and that's called a short sale. That means you sell the house for less than what you owe, and all the proceeds go to the bank. If this is the situation you are in, it is best to hold on to the house for as long as possible and use one of those creative solutions that Sarah just talked about, if you can afford it. Maybe you turn it into a rental. That's another great option. So you don't have to sell it, but neither of you live there, and maybe you can make some money on it in the interim. When spouses cannot agree, maybe one person wants to sell and the other one doesn't, it is possible that the court could order a forced sale of the house. So in this case, all communication tends to go through the attorneys because people can't agree, and that will eat into the profits of your eventual sale. So if you can avoid these situations by using some of those creative solutions, maybe turning the home into a rental, some other solution, you can save yourself money and maybe be able to turn this into an income-producing asset down the line.
Not everybody has a choice. You may have to sell regardless of what you want to do. These are tough decisions. While, as we've seen, you don't have to sell your house during a divorce, there are a number of reasons why selling your house may just be a cleaner and easier choice. One spouse may not be able to afford the mortgage on their own on a single income. That's a reason why you may have to sell the house. One person's income isn't going to cut it for a mortgage. Or the spouses might disagree, as we've talked about before, and you have no choice left in the game. Okay, the courts mandate it. They say you have to get a realtor and sell as soon as possible. And again, this is another way that it just might eat into your profits. If you're having to you don't have the time to properly prep your house, you're just being told to sell it as soon as possible. And then there also just might be, again, some contention. Someone might be trying to sabotage the situation who doesn't want to sell the house. Again, agreement is key. If you disagree, the courts might make you sell. Finally, one spouse just may not want to take on the risk or liability of home ownership alone. There is a lot involved in owning a home. There's insurance, there's upkeep. There's all the things on a monthly and annual basis that it takes to take care of a home. And if you just may not be up to it as a single person or a single parent, it just may not make sense for you. So these are all just really tough decisions, and why you just may have to sell the house, even if you really don't want to.
So now that we've covered if you need to sell, now let's talk about when to sell. This is about maximizing an otherwise stressful situation. So The benefits of selling your home before the suit is filed and the divorce proceedings begin is that both spouses can take advantage of this home sale tax exclusion. So that is the rule that says if you've lived in the home for the past 2 out of 5 years, you are excluded from taking capital gains up to $500,000 as a married couple, as long as you've lived in that home for the last 2 of 5 years as your primary residence. That's a lot of money. It's probably worth considering that in your timing if you can agree to do that. You can utilize this tax break whether you file a joint tax return or if you file separately, so you do not still have to be married when it's tax filing time. Selling your home during a divorce is just like selling it any other time, except you will need to have full written and verbal agreement on who gets what and when it is time to divide the proceeds. So it's really advisable to work with a realtor who has experience working with divorcees and attorneys, and it can be really prudent to get a broker to give you a price opinion from at least 2 sources and possibly even pay for a private appraisal. So this is not a bank appraisal, but it's hiring an appraiser to come in and tell you what the house is worth so that there's ample evidence to support the home's list price when it goes to market. And as long as the parties are not in a rush to sell, you should be able to get fair market value.
So if you're wondering what's next, we'll help take care of the rest. That's why we're here, as we've talked about. This time in your life is hard enough. And the preparation and marketing of your home can be one less thing on your plate while you're going through this stressful process. We come prepared to support and communicate. So all you have to do is accept the offer, divide the assets, and just move on to a clean slate. So if you want to know what your home would be worth if you sold today, let us know. Use that QR code to get in touch with us. We're happy to give you our opinion and be one of those people to help you with your supporting evidence as you move forward. And reach out and discuss your situation with us, and we'll help you decide what the best plan of action might be based on your scenario.
Well, thank you all for joining us today for what you should know about selling your home during a divorce. We gave you lots of things to think about, creative solutions, ideas to make the most of an otherwise stressful situation. So just want to say thank you for spending your time with us. And Sarah, you want to give our outro?
Oh yeah. So again, there's that QR code. Please make sure you screenshot it or hold your phone up. It's the best way to follow us and stay in touch. And then also like and subscribe to our YouTube channel before you go. And we'll see you on the next one. Reach out anytime. We're here to help.
Thanks, everyone.